First, I do want to apologize for all the background noise you guys might hear. Right now where I live, it is pretty warm, so I do have my window up, and we do have a lot of traffic in my area. So first, I do want to apologize, but of course I will try to remove as much of that background noise as much as possible. But this finale of Erase, to me, it was pretty damn good. Just like how this show, for the entire season I've been watching it, it's been pretty freaking fantastic. Now, of course, I'm pretty sure some people won't be happy, especially with the way, Yashiro character ended up being at the end. But overall, I gotta say, this right here was a fantastic ending for, a fantastic show. And so we see now that the episode itself, obviously we got the opening. This time it seemed, rather normal. And of course, we got, those little changes that we saw last week with those spider threads, they were back. And also there was another new addition that I noticed, because normally at the end we see Satoru, running on the roof, running away from a bullet. But this time now, we could see the one who actually shot that bullet. That right there was actually Yashiro. So I would think, maybe that right there would be played out, in the episode. But no, to me, they definitely went in a totally different direction than what the opening, they definitely went in a different direction than the opening vibe actually, gave off. And so we see now, in like a flashback, Satoru, we see that the moment that he actually got back in memories, it was when he actually touched, Kayo's baby hand. That right there is where, all the pieces have went back together. And so we see now that, Kenya, this guy is just, so freaking perceptive. He can definitely, realize when something's up with Satoru. And so we see now, or we learn actually that, for these past 15 years, Hiromi and Kenya, they actually have been, bettering themselves, so that way, they can fight side by side for Satoru, once again. And so we see now, Kenya, he actually became a lawyer, and we now have Hiromi, making his way on becoming a doctor. And to me, that right there, that right there completely blew my mind. But at the same time now, it definitely makes sense about Kenya being a lawyer as to why he was working with that reporter who worked with Satoru's mom, many years ago. And so now back on the roof, Yashiro, this guy is so freaking perceptive, because, right now he actually noticed, or he could tell that, Satoru actually got his memories back. And not only that, he also realized that, that their whole conversation on the roof, it was being recorded as Satoru, had a phone, and he actually had it on. And so the person who was on the line at the time, that right there was Kenya. And also another very important plot point is that, Yashiro was trying to set up Satoru, because he actually took Kumi, who you all know is that little girl who was getting that surgery. He actually, took her bag of IV and changed it with this muscle relaxant. And so, of course, when they go through surgery on her, she would die. And so right now, he was going to frame Satoru because his prints were all on that bag. And so we see now he was going to make it seem that Satoru felt so much guilt because of her death that he actually killed himself. And so right now, Satoru, he actually wasn't worried, because he was I won, because, back then you could not, kill anyone that had a connection with me. And so he was saying now how the past 15 years, he actually could have killed Satoru in his sleep, because we saw a few times now, Yashiro, we see now Yashiro was in Satoru's hospital room, watching over him, and some points even taking care of him. And all these times he didn't do anything. And so now those 15 years really changed a lot of people, as we obviously saw. And so right now, we have Yashiro pulling out his own gamble because he had wanted to know how in the world that Satoru know all things in the past and all these ways about how like stop him, because now, especially back then where Satoru was like in the car and he told Yashiro that like he knows his future. And so right now we have Satoru kind of spilling the beans because he had mentioned his mother that Yashiro didn't murder yet. But right now we see Satoru pull like his own gamble where we see him make a charge for the open gate that was like on the roof. And so you would think now that this right here would be suicide, but no, we see now that like Yashiro actually saved him, because we learn now that Yashiro, for the past 15 years, he was like waiting for Satoru to wake up. And so in those 15 years, because Satoru actually knew about him, knew how he really was, we see now that some way Satoru actually gave Yashiro hope. And so because of that, it turns out that Yashiro actually can't live without him. Now, let's be honest, that statement right there, I can't really explain it, that much in depth because even I don't get it. But at the same time, I definitely feel like it made sense, because we have seen this killer change so much because in these past 15 years, not only did he not kill anyone else, but he actually but he actually took care of his possible victim in the past. And so now, because of that, he actually let Satoru go, because if Satoru was like going to die, then Yashiro had no reason to live. So this guy was like getting ready to commit suicide by jumping off. But then we see below that we have Satoru's mom, Satoru, Kenya, Hiromi, and reporter. They all caught Satoru, and that right there was like definitely a pretty nice save. And so we see now that with all the witnesses here, there was definitely no escape. And so now Yashiro was like getting arrested for attempted murder. And so right now, we go to I want to say maybe a few months ago in the past. I mean, in the future, and we do see now, or we learn actually how much Satoru actually, values that time when he was asleep, because we see it, because we see how much those 15 years actually affected, our characters. And we even see now that, what's the name? Misato, that girl who had framed, Kayo, and like the beginning of the series, her character also changed a lot as well, because we see that at one point she was like having all these fundraisers so that way they can pay for Satoru's medical bills. And I will say, to me, that right there was to me at least, that right there was like pretty freaking surprising, because I definitely wouldn't expect her character, to actually do something, that kind-hearted, but at the same time, she was now something, into their little group. And so now we see that, now we see that once, Satoru was like all better and out the hospital, he actually, made a manga about what happened, in his life, and that right there made him, pretty freaking successful. And so now we learned that that the real name of the series is the town where only I am missing. Like at first I thought that right there what was like for Kayo, but no, it's actually for Satoru, because that right there represents those 15 years where he like actually asleep. So that right there was like definitely nice, to how they made that connection. And so now we see, Satoru, he was like on his way to like meet up with like all his friends, and we see what's the name? We have Kazu, we have Aya, Kenya, Osamu, Kayo, and then we also have Misato who came there late. But it was definitely nice to see everyone, it was definitely like to see all our characters, our main cast all going up together once again. Even though it was short, I will say that, that right there was definitely a nice moment. And at the same time, I definitely want to believe that Aya and Kazu are together. Hopefully that right there is true. At the same time, I do feel a little bad because Satoru and Osamu and Kenya, obviously, they were the only one who don't have girlfriends that we know of. Maybe Kenya is married, and maybe, Osamu is married, maybe Osamu is married as well, but, we definitely know that, Satoru is definitely the one who got left out because Kayo actually got together with Hiromi. And so now we see that after they had all parted ways, we have Satoru and Kenya, they were like walking around for a while, and then we go now to where the 2010 Olympics is about to go down. We see now, Satoru, who is now a successful manga artist, he was now working, but at one point he was like going out, and then we see him going to like some familiar spots, because first he had went to the park. No, like first he went to the riverbed, and then he went to the park, and then finally he went to that bridge. Oh, and also we saw Yuki as well, who is now alive, obviously, and we see him now married, and we see him also have a son. So that right there was definitely nice to see as well, because this guy got to live, and now we see him with like his own family. And so we see now that when Satoru was under the bridge, we see him reading this book, and we see him telling a story about this hero who he had looked up to. And so apparently at first this hero he had fought alone, but then we see his courage and passion pass on to his friends or his comrades, and that right there made him made them true friends to the hero. And Satoru was kind of envious of that, and he also wanted that, and so that right there, I'm pretty sure was hinting at the first time Satoru had gotten involved with Kenya and the rest of them. But at the same time, they were not true friends till Satoru had went back in the past and started doing all this stuff. And so right now, eventually where you got to the end, we see him now bring up, we see him now pull out this picture of everyone all together. And I will say that right there was a very nice picture. I do believe that I will make that the thumbnail for the video, because to me, I feel like that right there really represents, everyone in a very nice way for, finale. And so we see now that when Satoru was getting up, we can see this blue butterfly, flying around. And Satoru was saying earlier how revival has not happened since he has arrested since he had not arrested Yashiro. And so right now, when he was following the butterfly, it actually led him to the outside of the bridge. And so we see now someone was taking pictures, and so we see now that the person who was taking it was running toward him, and then we see who it was. It was Airi. And so to me, seeing her as a photographer, instead of being, a pizza girl, so to say, because Satoru did see, his old boss while he was going to the bridge. And we see now when Satoru realized that is Airi, and we see him get, so emotional, and he said, I never stopped believing. That right there was a perfect note to end it on. And so overall, Erase, to me, this right here is hand down, in my opinion, the best show to come out this season. Now, of course, I'm pretty sure some people might have different opinions, but for me personally, this show hands down, best show so far. I mean, best show of the year so far. But of course, let me know what you guys thought. Overall, to me, rating it, to me, because the race, was definitely so good, and to me, rather special. I will give it a 9 out of 10. And so, of course, let me know what you guys thought. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because it really helps me out. And as always, you guys take it easy. I will see you all next season.